There are knowns and then there are unknowns. A geologist is looking for petroleum, is looking for the kinds of rocks that will hold petroleum. You're looking for several factors. You're looking for the kind of rock that has enough space in it to hold fluids. Now those rocks by definition have to be made of other bits of little rock. You can't generally find oil in granite because granite is made of materials that are all interlocking crystals. There's no room for any fluids. Carbonate rocks and clastic rocks, rocks made from sandstone, made from little bits of sand, have the space in between the grains to hold water and hydrocarbons. So, to begin with, the geologist looks for the kinds of rocks that are going to have the space. They're looking for carbonates and they're looking for clastic rocks. Okay? Now, the rocks have to have boundaries and barriers so that those fluids can be trapped over a confined area. Otherwise, they could just flow the fluids could flow endlessly in all directions. So you're also looking for a structure. You're looking for rocks that have been deformed, bent from their natural flat-lying depositional orientation. Rocks are deposited, sands are deposited in basins, in big open areas, bowls, shallow bowl-like areas. Think about the Gulf of Mexico. Think about the Mississippi River. The Mississippi River is dumping sand and mud into the Gulf of Mexico. Over geological time, those sands and mud-like materials form layers. And the layers are many, many feet thick, in fact, miles thick. Now, along with the sands and shales, the sands and the muds, there are also layers of salt, beds of salt that were laid down millions and millions of years ago. Salt actually behaves very interestingly under a lot of heat and pressure, or a lot of pressure. And the pressure of the overlying mud pushes that salt around, okay? It forms beds. It forms very, very thick beds, but those beds of salt are very weak as far as their actual tensile strength is concerned. So the salt begins to flow, much like toothpaste in a tube. And much like the tube that confines that toothpaste, the rocks move around in response to the weaknesses of the salt. So you end up with underground hills, underground mountains. You end up with those layers being broken and shifted, and that provides the opportunity to create the structures that hydrocarbons can be caught in. So, again, to return to your question, how does a geologist figure out where to drill? The geologist has to have certain knowns. The geologist has to have knowledge that they are functioning in a basin that is just a place that can collect these sediments, and that there's enough activity, we call that tectonic activity, to, rock-related activity, to move those sediments and to create the structures. And using the methods of geophysics, we can basically take a picture of the Earth. And using that picture, looking for those structures, then we get an idea about where to drill.